Dr. Don Mattera is a distinguished author, poet, journalist and a storyteller who has made an immense contribution in the country, particularly in the El Dorado Park in Westbury, Bosmont, Innerdale communities. His substantial contributions to literature and community development in South Africa earned him an honorary Doctor of Literature from Witwatersrand University. Now, the Don Mattera Legacy Foundation is set to open to ensure that Don's legacy remains for generations to come and to also build a sustainable legacy of his contribution to a free democratic South Africa. But to tell us more about the foundation, we joined in studio by Teddy Mattera, a board member and the son of Dr. Don Mattera. And Dr. Mattera himself, he'll be joining us shortly. Mr. Mattera, very good morning to you. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having us.
Now, for those, particularly the younger generation who may not know Dr. Don Mattera, just who is Don Mattera? Do you want to take us through his legacy and the kind of influence that he's had on South African?
Yeah, inclusive of being our father as his children, Don Mattera has paid the ultimate sacrifice in terms of his contribution to South Africa's liberation. He's also a distinguished poet, a humanitarian, community activist. I think his virtues spread over education, sport, literature, and sort of many other avenues internationally and locally.
Yeah.
So that's really what this day of celebration is all about.
And he's widely known as being an anti-apartheid activist, and he fought some of those battles through his pen, and with his writing prowess he really rattled the hornet's nest, particularly during the apartheid regime. But then his writing prowess was also, dismantled, and his literary output was cut short by state interference. But then that never stopped him.
No, it didn't. One recalls, like many other activists in our country, at the time, police raids, a direct disturbance into his life, clear intervention in terms of his political prowess. But I think as a stalwart of this country, he stood the test of time, and today he features prominently in our democracy.
Yeah, and perhaps one of the functions of this foundation is to ensure that his legacy is preserved. So what are some of these works that will be shown or showcased in order to preserve his legacy?
Well, the idea of the celebration is to launch the Don Mattera Legacy Foundation. He will obviously be the first to be present at this, and the theme of it is to celebrate communities celebrating Don Mattera. Communities in the sense of those whose lives he's touched: journalists, poets, writers, authors, people in sports, and especially community people. So we'll have a great lineup of artists: Kaya Mahlangu and his band, Pops Muhammad, the likes of Dr. Pitika Ntuli, Lebo Mashile, Khafela wa Makhokhodi will be there, Dr. Leonard Martin, who's part of our organizing committee, and different people both from the Christian and Islamic faiths will also be there to celebrate this icon.
Okay. And what does this foundation stand for, and what is that consistent message that his legacy has been publishing or spreading over these years?
The idea is to look at celebrating organic leadership in our communities. And I think it's very important to clear this notion that this is a so-called colored idea. We've never recognized ourselves as colored. We're Africans. And to see that we celebrate internecine leadership in the country. From Don Mattera is recognized in Soweto, is recognized in Grabo, in Sweden, in the United States, across the African continent. So I think to undo those kind of identity shackles, it's important for us that we place him in the right context. So from here on, we're looking to have in the future, for example, a Don Mattera lecture, in the future, where we will bring leaders that will speak towards those virtues that imbibe Don Mattera's character.
So what is it that this foundation will be working on?
We really see, for example, clearly cementing his legacy in the different communities. You know, changing some of the street names around El Dorado Park, for example, and in Soweto, we sit on the border of Pimville and El Dorado Park. So we're thinking about getting some of those street names changed to his name to reflect the leadership that is inherent in those communities. Amongst many other things, I think it's education, trying to get his books into the departments of education, because for a long time, because of his own political affiliations, some people have been sidelined because of that. But we're hoping that we'll be able to bring that together and reflect the nature and the character of this great human being into South African society.
And I want us to discuss more about his books after the break, but we'll leave it there for now.
Okay, thank you.
Well, do stay tuned as we'll carry on the discussion after this break.